Hello everyone. The topic is frenectomy from pre-prosthetic surgery. So I have covered about pre-prosthetic surgery and alveoloplasty in my last video. Starting off with the frenectomy. A frenum, it is a fold of thin band of the fibrous tissue and a few muscle fibers which are covered by the mucous membrane which connects the lips, cheeks and the tongue to the jaw. So if it is present labially, so these one are the ones that connects the lip to the jaw. If they are present buccally, they connects the cheeks to the jaw, and the lingual one they connects the tongue to the jaw. So maxillary midline frenum is the most commonly seen. So this one is a maxillary midline frenum. It is most commonly seen. Lingual frenum is also seen. Then there are maxillary and mandibular frena which are also found in the premolar molar region. That are the ones which you found on the buccal side. So those are the buccal frenum. So frenectomy is the removal of one of these folds of tissue. Frenec is nothing but frenum. Tomy is removal. So it is removal of these folds of tissue. Patient receiving dentures, they may need frenectomy if the position of the frenum they interferes with the proper fit of the denture. For example, this frenum. So when you are fabricating a denture, if this frenum is going to interfere with the fit of the denture, thereby frequently ulcerating and reducing the stability of denture. Now, as we know, in complete denture, the frenums they are the limiting structures. So if you are fabricating a denture, so the frenum it acts as a limiting structure. But if you are fabricating a denture above this frenum, then your denture it won't be retentive and it won't be stable. And in some cases, what we do is we relieve the frenum. But there are some cases where we cannot do because this attachment of the frenum is too high on the ridge, and because of that, we need to do frenectomy. So procedures which are performed on the labial frenum and the lingual frenum are termed as labial frenectomy and lingual frenectomy respectively. So indications if there are high attachment of labial frena or the fibrous bands which are attached near the alveolar crest in the buccal region, they often displace the dentures during function. So if the attachment of the labial frenum is high, then it will displace the denture, and because of that we need to do frenectomy in such cases. Many times ulceration can be seen at the frenal attachment due to impingement of the denture peripheries, and at that areas when you're not relieving the area, so you'll see the ulceration at that area. One option is to relieve the denture borders at this frenal attachment, but for persistent problem, frenectomy should be considered. So as I said, we can relieve. So when we are constructing a denture, we are relieving the frenum. But in some cases, it cannot be done. And over there, we are doing frenectomy. So there are different techniques. First is simple excision, Z-plasty. The next one is localized vestibuloplasty with secondary epithelialization. And next one is laser assisted frenectomy. So starting off with the labial frenectomy. So the labial frenum, it usually extends from the upper lip to the crest of the alveolar ridge. So it is extending from the upper lip to the crest of the alveolar ridge, and it can at times it can extend towards the palate to the incisive papilla. In some cases it can extend towards the palate. Then usually narrow elliptical excision it is used. So usually narrow elliptical excision is used, but when there is a lot of tissue, if this frenum it has a lot of tissue, then at that time we are using a cross diamond shaped excision. So first we are doing local infiltration. So the technique is first we are injecting local infiltration anesthesia. Then once the anesthesia, once it is anesthetized, then the upper lip it is everted. So over here as you can see, the upper lip it is everted so that the frenum is taut. So now because of this, the frenum gets taut. The base of the frenum it is grasped with the hemostat, and the incision is taken below and above the hemostat. So what we are doing is we are using two hemostats. So first hemostat, using two hemostats, the fibers they are locked. First hemostat it is placed parallel to the labial surface. So first this hemostat it is parallel to the labial surface. It is parallel to the labial surface of the alveolar ridge and in contact with the mucosa which is covering the labial surface of the mucobuccal fold. And the second hemostat it is placed parallel to the lips. So second hemostat it is parallel to the lips, and first one is parallel to the alveolar ridge. So these are the two hemostats that you are placing, and the hemostat they are kept in such a way that the tips each other, so that their tips they touch each other, so that the entire fibrous tissue of the frenum, which has to be removed, lies within the hemostat. So they are placed in such a manner that whatever portion you have to remove, it is placed within this hemostats. Then a surgical defect, it is created by excision of the fibrous band with a number 11 BP blade, that is Bard and Parker blade. Then the placement of first suture. So first we are seeing the frenum. Then what we are doing is we are everting the upper lip. After that we are using two hemostat. Then two hemostat, they are placed in such a manner that whatever the portion has to be removed, it is placed within this hemostat. Then you are doing the excision with a 11 number BP blade. So this is how it looks like, a diamond shaped excision. Then what we are doing is then we are suturing it. So the placement of first suture, it should be at the maximum depth of the vestibule, and it should include both the edges of mucosa. So the first sutures, so these two first sutures, they are placed at the maximal depth of the vestibule, and they should include both the edges of mucosa. So it is including both the edges of mucosa underlying periosteum at the height of the vestibule, which is beneath the nasal spine. Because of this, what happens, there is reduction in the hematoma formation. So hematoma is nothing but collection of the blood outside of blood vessels, which occurs as a result of damage to one of the larger blood vessels. So we are preventing that hematoma formation with the help of the sutures, this type of sutures. Then the closure, it can be done by interrupted sutures, and we are using a prefabricated stent is necessary. So this is prefabricated stent is necessary. So this is again the same case. We are doing this excision. So this is the clinical picture. This is the high attachment of the frenum. We are using this two hemostat and a BP blade to excite it, and then these sutures are given. So this is labial frenectomy by a simple excision method. Then the next method is Z-plasty, and this Z-plasty, it is usually used when the frenums, they are broad and the vestibule is short. So in that cases we are using Z-plasty. So basically what Z-plasty is, so this is the picture of Z-plasty. So what we are doing is a small elliptical excision of mucosa and underlying loose connective tissue is done. So over here, as you can see, this is a small elliptical excision which is done in the first procedure. So first you are doing this same thing, anesthesia, then everting the lips, and then you are taking this excision, small elliptical excision. Then over here, as you can see, the flaps, they are undermined and they are rotated. So over here, this flaps over here, as you can see, they are rotated. So they are rotated to the desired position. And next what you do is closure with the interrupted suture. So now you can see the way they were rotated, and now it appears as a Z when they are sutured, and this is known as Z-plasty, and it is used when the frenum is broad and the vestibule is short. Then VY type of incision, it is used for lengthening localized area. So this is a VY type. So what we are doing is a wide V type of incision is made at the most inferior portion of the frenal attachment area. So V type of incision is made at the most inferior portion of the frenal attachment. So first is this incision, a V type of incision. Then what we are doing is this is a supraperiosteal dissection which is completed, and then releasing mucosa and the fibrous frenal attachment. So this is a excision dissection. So this is basically excision which we are doing. This is a supraperiosteal dissection, and then this is a diagram where you can see the mucosal margins which are sutured to the periosteum. So the mucosal margin, they are sutured to the periosteum at the depth of the vestibule. So this is a VY type of, so V type of incision we are taking, and when we are suturing it, it appears as this Y. So this is VY type of incision. Then broad frena in the premolar molar area, they can be treated by taking semilunar incision and at the mucogingival incision, and supraperiosteal dissection is done. So at a mucogingival junction, this is not incision, sorry, this is junction, and supraperiosteal dissection is done. So this is same what we are seeing. If there is a broad frena, it is present at the premolar molar area, so it is treated with a semilunar incision, and the superior edge of the incision, it is sutured at the depth of the vestibule over here to the periosteum, and the rest of the raw area below, it is allowed to heal by secondary epithelialization. So this is the third type of technique which we do, in which it heals by the secondary epithelialization. So these all are the different techniques. And the next one is this laser technique, laser assisted frenectomy. So this is a laser point, as you can see. So this is a supraperiosteal ablation of the mucosal and a dense fibrous frenal attachment. And in this also healing it occurs by the secondary epithelialization. So these all are the four techniques of your labial frenectomy. Now, the lingual frenectomy. So, lingual frenum, it is attached to the crest of the alveolar ridge and it connects to the tongue below the tip of the tongue and in edentulous patient. So, in edentulous patient, this lingual frenum, it is attached to the crest of the alveolar ridge and it connects to the tongue below the tip of the tongue. But in dentulous patient, not edentulous, dentulous patients, it is attached to the lingual gingiva. So over here, as you can see, it is attached to the lingual gingiva, which is behind the mandibular incisors, and this is known as tongue tie or ankyloglossia, which we have seen in our third years. So oral pathology, where we have seen this developmental disturbances of tongue. In there, we have seen about this tongue tie in brief. So what are the aims of doing this surgery? First is to correct the speech. So if there is a tongue tie, in that cases the speech is hampered. So to correct it, we are using lingual frenectomy. Then it is used prior to the denture construction. If this attachment is high and it will hamper the denture placement, then we are doing this surgery prior to the denture construction and to improve the tongue mobility. In such cases, the mobility is hampered. So there is like decreased mobility, reduced mobility of the tongue in the cases of tongue tie or ankyloglossia. So to correct it, to improve the tongue mobility, we are using lingual frenectomy. So what is the technique? So we are injecting local anesthesia. In that, we are doing bilateral lingual nerve block with local infiltration. So we are giving bilateral lingual nerve block and with local infiltration, because there is cross innervation at this center portion. So we are giving local infiltration also. Then the tongue traction suture is given. So it is like a 3-knot silk suture. It is passed through the midline of the tongue. A suture, it is passed through the midline of the tongue around 2 centimeters from the tip. It is taken to improve the visibility and control and stabilization of the tongue during the procedure. So first we are doing this tongue traction suture is given to stabilize the tongue properly. Then one hemostat, it can be placed at the anterior attachment of the frenum to the tongue, and the another hemostat is placed at the inferior attachment of the ridge. So there are two hemostat which we are using. First, it is placed at the anterior attachment to the frenum. So first is the anterior attachment of the frenum, and the next one is placed at the inferior attachment of the ridge. Then a cross diamond incision, it is taken. So over here, this is a cross diamond. So as this is a cross diamond incision is done. Then a submucosal dissection on the either side of the undermined lingual and sublingual mucosa, it is carried out. Then care is to be taken to avoid the damage to the submandibular duct orifice. As your submandibular duct orifice, it is placed below this tongue. As they are placed, the openings of them, it is placed underneath the tongue. So we are not avoiding them. We are not damaging them. Then the suturing is done in the vertical manner. So this is the lingual frenum. We are taking a cross diamond shaped incision. Then what we are doing is sublingual dissection is done, and then we are doing this suturing, that is this vertical manner. Then what are the possible complications? Intraoperative, it can be injury to the Wharton's duct or the papilla. This is the Wharton's duct, it is the duct of the submandibular gland, and the submandibular gland, they are present on the left and the right side of the mouth, and the openings of them, it is placed underneath the tongue. So we have to take care. So this is the complication which can occur. We can injure this Wharton's duct, or we can injure the sublingual superior lingual vessels. So these are the intraoperative complications. What are the post-operative complications? First is the hematoma. As I said, hematoma is nothing but the collection of the blood outside a blood vessel. So hematoma can be occurred in the floor of the mouth, or there can be pain, restricted tongue movements, or there can be partial dysphagia. So it is difficulty in swallowing. So these all are the complications which can occur post-operatively. This was it of frenectomy. Thank you so much.